everybody, Z Garcia here. Today I'm taking a look at this product for Lorcana, Illumineer's Quest Deep Trouble. This comes with a 2 decks of playing cards for Lorcana, but the main attraction here is a 3rd deck that comes in there that players can play cooperatively against, and it represents Ursula, a glimmer of Ursula that is attempting to take over the world of Lorcana, and the players are fighting against her. You can play Solitaire as well, and you can play with the decks that are included in the box or not. You can create your own deck. You can deck build and go against her. So that's the idea. It's a way for you to get some games of Lorcana in cooperatively or solo without needing an opponent, and with a varying challenge too that you can set at the beginning of the game. Let me go ahead and show you a little bit of how this mode works. I'm not really explaining Lorcana here per se, but I'm going to show you sort of the steps that you would go through in playing the against Ursula here, and then we'll come on back and I'll tell you what I think of this mode specifically in the game. Here we're taking a look at the game already in progress. The objective of the game for the players, either a single player or all the players working together, is to each of them have at least 20 lore before Ursula gets to 40 lore. If that happens first, then we are going to collectively win. Now, right now I'm playing Solitaire, so it's just for me to get to 20 before she gets to 40. That's the objective. The game, when you set it up, you are going to pick a difficulty, which is represented by this card over here, and it's going to change a couple of things, mainly some abilities that the players have access to, as well as possibly how many cards she draws every time it's her turn. And so right now it's going to be Ursula's turn. We go back and forth, basically taking turns with her starting the game. And right now, after a few turns, it's going to be her again. So we go through this breakdown right here, starting at the top with ready. Ursula is going to ready every card that is here in the play area for her, the row. Then we go to set, where anything that would happen at the beginning of the turn would happen, nothing right now. And then we go to resolve the row. So resolving the row entails going left to right through the row. If it's an item or an ability, you're going to activate that. So in this case, Ursula's Stolen Trident is an item. It says it's my power now. And you exhaust this and gain 1 lore, so she will do that. And then this one here, Triton's Daughters, is a character, an ally. If they can quest, they will quest. If they cannot, and they have the ability to attack, in fact, if they're forced to attack with a keyword, then they will do so. Otherwise, they don't do anything. So right now, this one can certainly quest. They're going to quest for 1, and this goes up again. Having done that, now we're going to go to the draw step. Now, the draw is set at the beginning of the game. In this case, it happens to be 2. And when Ursula gets her lore all the way up to 20 in a 1-player game, her draw goes up to 3. If it was a 2-player game, it happens when she gets to 10 and when she gets to 30, all right? So 2 cards, 1, 2, like that, and then we are going to resolve these cards, okay? You're going to take them from the top here, and you're going to flip one over, check if you can pay for it. In this case, the cost here would be 7. She has 3 down here of her in her ink well, so if it cannot be played, you flip it and it becomes ink. And then you keep doing that. If it can be played, like this one can be played, then it gets played out there. This one happens to say, positively primeval, when you play this character, deal 4 damage to the opposing character with the lowest cost. Okay, well, it's so much for Merlin as a squirrel there. And then we go to, well, we already did draw and we did reveal, so that was the last 2 steps, and then it comes to me as a player. So my turn, and every player's turn is pretty normal. Ready, set, draw. I can put ink in the inkwell, like this one. I can play cards, what have you. I can pay for that, which is going to, when you play this character, you may banish chosen item. That's very, very useful right now because I can get rid of this trident. Get that out of there. I've spent all of my ink, unfortunately, so I am done. And I have nothing else I can achieve right now. It goes back to Ursula, who again readies sets, triggers all of this, draws a number of cards, and then reveals and sees if they can be paid and they're paid, or if they go down here. Now, notice that she doesn't actually spend the ink. For her, it's a threshold. Having up to anything that costs up to 4 right now, she puts into play. She does not exhaust 4 and then put it into play and check the next one. So drawing 2 4s back to back right now, they would both go into play. That's how it works for her. So that's the idea there. And like I explained, I'm trying to get to 20 before she gets to 40. Now these abilities right here, which come into play again from the difficulty, this side being easy, you can start there. Then you've got normal difficulty, you've got hard difficulty here, and then extreme on this side, changing the rules a little bit. This one has over here some effects that the players may choose to trigger. They cost you lore, however. So you have to be very careful with that. I could spend 1, and a chosen character would get +2 strength. I could pay 2, and a chosen character gains resist +1 until the start of my next turn. Or I could pay 3, and every player except Ursula would draw a card. So you can spend some of yours to do these abilities, but of course be aware you're spending the very thing you're trying to gain. It doesn't matter if one player gets all the way up to 26. If the other player is still at 16, you both have to be at 20. So that would be a good time where you can spend it to try to help out your allies. But that should give you an idea of what's going on in the game. Let's go ahead and go back up top. I was very pleasantly surprised, I have to say, to see something like this added to Lorcana so early in its life. Because we've seen this kind of thing before in Magic the Gathering. We've seen it in other trading card games, but Lorcana has not been out that long, and already there is something that really shakes up the mold, if you would, and gives you something that kind of turns the game on its head. And they implemented it in a really interesting way. That's one thing that immediately it gets a thumbs up for, and that is the style here, the cool look of everything, how all the illustrations of these characters and these things that Ursula is throwing at you look like they are possessed by her. And that's really cool. So the whole thing just exudes style and looks real slick. The gameplay itself, let's talk about that. I have some positives and some negatives here. The positives are that the system, I think, is very clever. I especially like the idea of she draws a few cards into her hand, and then you reveal them one at a time. If she has hit the threshold to put it in play, she does. If not, it becomes ink, and the threshold goes higher. Super clean, very well done. It's a clever system, and it is a very easy system to run. Yeah, I can get a game of this in solitaire very quickly. I also like that they've implemented a lore tracker for this into the Lorcana app. So if you haven't messed with the app for Lorcana, this might be a good reason to actually download that. In fact, I re-downloaded it so that I can use it not just for head-to-head lore counters on, like, say, an iPhone, but you can play against her, and it'll keep track of her card draws, of her running total. You can even click on there and see the special abilities that you could trigger by spending your lore. I like that quite a bit, so pretty cool. A couple of things I did not like as much about the system are, this is a first one out of the gate, to be fair, and if they do not come back to this kind of product, by the way, I have to say I'm going to be pretty disappointed because I think there's a lot of promise here. I think there's also some repetitive, game design in it. And I understand that that's par for the course. It's sort of tricky for them to make the other side of the table know what you are doing and react accordingly. So the things that are in there are sort of the shotgun approach. They're like, hey, get rid of an item if you have the best one. Yeah, and hurt your biggest person. And discard a car, sort of broad things like that. And that works well, but it feels a bit scattershot. And the difficulty can also feel a little bit scattershot because of it. In fact, I wish that there was a difficulty between normal and hard. I won't lose at normal, and I can win at hard. So The easy one is like, it's maybe if you really, really don't know what you're doing. And then extreme, perhaps if you build a really fantastic deck of cards. But for me, I am playing with out-of-the-box starters or slightly modified starters, right? And that's kind of where my difficulty happy point is at. So I kind of wish there was something in between. Now, I could house rule something like that. But out of the box, those two modes, I kind of want something in between them. That's all, There's also a few small issues with rules, clarity issues and things like that. Does she have a starting hand? The rule book makes it a little... doesn't quite explain should she be drawing a starting hand above and beyond her first two cards? I don't think so. That would be incredibly difficult. It's not quite clear. You can go online and kind of parse this out, but not really. And then just normal card interactions can sometimes be a little bit finicky because you're playing not against somebody else. And these cards weren't really created for this out of the gate, right? So those are a few of the issues I have. I will say, though, overall, and I know I'm not really talking about the 2 decks of cards that came in here. They're good. They're 2 more decks of cards. Think 2 more starters, right? So if you are looking for more Lorcana, which you've been playing, buying boosters and starters and what have you, this product is not really that. There's 2 more decks in here, but that's not really what you're getting. What you are getting is this brand new mode. And when it comes to that, especially if you are someone who enjoys the idea of playing solitaire, and maybe your Lorcana cards are not getting a lot of love. Maybe you're not having a lot of, opponents across the kitchen table you can play some games of Lorcana with, and I cannot recommend this product enough. I think it's going to allow you to bring out your cards, make decks, shuffle up, play. The flip side of that is this is the first product of this kind for Lorcana, and it's a little repetitive. And I am really excited for whatever they do next with the system, whatever new injections of ideas and funds they put in there. And this is a good starting off place, but I greedily want a little more. Much like Ursula wants more. So there you go, folks. That's it for me. For this one, I'm gonna give this one a 7.5 out of 10. That is still a seal of approval, and I very much am glad that this product is out already, and that you can now play against it cooperatively or solitaire. It doesn't matter. Works really well together. The app, like I said, is really good. The whole thing has a great look and style. So for me, 7.5 out of 10, and that's gonna do it for Illumineer's Quest Deep Trouble here. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching this with me, folks. My name is Z Garcia. I'll see you on the next one.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Bassel.